field. When he was brought to the table, they would cut, to expose the wound. And they determined that in those days, a mini ball, which looked like this, was shot at pretty slow velocity, and it's lead, soft, would mushroom like this, and it would crack the bone. Modern bullets go right through. These things crack the bone, smash the bone, like getting hit with a hammer, and would break the bone. So though he was shot in the ankle, the bone would be broken way up to here. So they couldn't cut through the broken bone because it would cause infection. They knew that a broken bone caused infection. They didn't know why, but they knew it did. So they had to get cut into the healthy bone. So what they would do is they would chloroform, or sometimes if they were lucky they'd have some ether. This is also a form of inhaler. They come in here, there's a little...
They breathe it in through the mouth or through the nose?
You put it right in there, put this on top, put it up to his nostrils.
Nostrils.
Let him breathe. He would pass out for about 20 minutes. You would determine where you're going to cut through the healthy bone. You would take a scalpel and you would cut the flesh. You would take this is a Catlin, it's a double-edged blade. This would go right down to the bone, cutting through the muscle, tendons and stuff. And you would cut, if you had time, you'd do it like in a flat, so it'd have some flesh to put over the wound. If you didn't have time, you had, say, hundreds of guys waiting, you would do a guillotine style, which is like straight down. This had more of a chance of of not healing properly. But if they didn't have enough time, they couldn't waste the time. So once they got to the bone, they'd have a person who's helping out pull back the flesh, exposing the bone. They take the capital saw. The capital saw would cut right through the bone. They would take a round gere, which is this thing, looks like something that would clip roses or something. You would snip off the ends of the bone, because sometimes when it comes out rough. You take a bone file. The bone file you'd try to make it as smooth as possible. See, it has a little edge there. If there was any edges there, you'd have a hammer, and you could smooth off the edges. Then you take your tenacular, pull out the veins and the arteries. You would tie them off. You'd release this a little bit to get some blood flow back in here. If it would bleed a little bit, but if it didn't, if the arteries were holding, you could close. Then you would leave a couple of the arteries exposed. You would put some lint in there to soak up some of the blood. You would close it up, leaving a little bit of irrigation so that it would heal better. And you'd leave some of the arteries out. In the days after the amputation, they'd come and check. They'd pull on the artery. If it was pliable, if it was elastic, that was good sign. It was healing properly. If it was brittle, it would break off. You'd have secondary bleeds. You'd need to cut back in and tie up the arteries. If it was pliable, eventually after like 2 or 3 days, they would tug, they would break, snap off. The area that was sewed would remain. It would atrophy into the wound. They had about a 70–75% chance of survival. That's the primary amputation. If infection set in, and they'd have to cut above the infected bone, a secondary amputation would have about a 40% chance of survival. And the higher up the amputation, the less chance of the man surviving. There's more arteries, there's more blood vessels, there's closer to the heart, so it would be less of a chance of survival.
Very good.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.